Hey, what's going on everyone? My name's Wes. We are talking favorites in today's video. That's right, we're talking all of my favorites and or more importantly, the best subclasses of best third-party subclasses of 2025 available on D&D Beyond that I've covered so far. So let's go. Right. Um a bit of disclaimer first. I am pretty biased. I really think that in the fantasy worlds that are D&D, there's so much magic that anti-magic subclasses are by far the best. However, I do understand that if you're not going against mages, then you don't really have a subclass for a lot of these. So I will keep that in mind. In some cases, I will mention two subclasses. In others, I'll just talk about one. But we're going to start things off with the Barbarian. And, well, the Path of the Spellscorn, introduced to us from Cthulhu by Torchlight, is an anti-magic class. And therefore, it's very powerful. Like at 6th level, you get Counterspell. And I think you get it by expending hit dice, or you can counterspell on a punch. I forget exactly, but it's very powerful when going against anti-magic. Outside of anti-magic, I would say the best subclass for the Barbarian is the Path of the Wrathful Dead, available to us in the Grim Hollow Player's Guide. It gives you so much at level 3 and so many options to choose from at higher levels and much more. I don't think I rated it that high, and just looking back at it now, I feel like I should have. It is A tier overall, I would say, just because the amount of options you get. And as far as Barbarians go, possibly S tier. I mean, I don't think it doesn't really do much for like increasing your damage potential, but it is very good still. So that's my Barbarian, best of 2025 that we have. And we are going to move on to the Bard. Before that, you can check out all of my subclass guides or reviews or whatever you want to call them up here. And we are going to move on to the Bard next. Okay, the Bard. So, it is, once again, a toss-up between the College of Drama from Cthulhu by Torchlight. This Bard has a way of giving out disadvantage and dealing psychic damage with its bardic inspiration. This means you're not giving it to your allies. However, you also have more ways of getting back bardic inspiration, like when a creature is dropped to 0 hit points or killed outright. Doesn't have to be so if you have a Barbarian in your party and they're tanking and go down a lot, whenever they go down, you can gain a bardic inspiration back. When they kill somebody, you gain bardic inspiration back, and later on, once you are bloodied, like if you get knocked down to half hit points or less, you gain all your bardic inspiration back. So very much hand them out to your allies and then dish out disadvantage on your enemies. It's pretty powerful in just that sense of you're gonna be getting back your bardic inspiration, because what do adventurers do? They kill stuff. Then our second option is from Crooked Moon, the College of Whistles Bards. This is going to give out buffs to your allies who have bardic inspiration. It's going to allow them to have a little aura or emanation around them. It's going to, on top of that, have like tricks, like it's going to gain teleportation circle and all other cool, like nifty little abilities. It actually has 2 level 6 features, and yeah, those two are probably my top choices for the Bard. Moving on to Clerics next. Oh, before I even move on to Clerics though, you're literally gonna gain the Haverty's Handy Haversack magic item basically for yourself. So yeah, Bard not only gets teleportation circle at higher levels, they gain a free magic item, pseudo magic item. So yeah, super cool. Okay, now actually talking about the Cleric. First up, we have our Inquisition Domain, brought to us by Grimhollow. This is an anti-magic cleric. You deal an extra force damage right at level 3, wisdom modifier times per day, I believe, to any creature, and if they're concentrated on a spell, it increases by a d8. You have an ability to grant advantage on saves against spells, along with temporary hit points equal to a d10 plus your cleric level, and eventually you can dish this out to the whole party. And when creatures, and you force concentration checks on creatures who when they go to cast a spell. So if you're not, if you're not fighting mages, at least you're still dealing out force damage on a hit. So good option if you want to multi-class too, like think a couple levels of cleric and then ranger. That way your ranger can just deal extra force damage all the time, or at least wisdom modifier times per day, I believe. The other option is the Harvest Domain. If you're not into dealing damage, if you want to be more support focused, the Harvest Domain from the Crooked Moon gives us a bunch of features at level 3. Your Channel Divinity allows you to give out Heroic Inspiration along with other benefits. Then at level 6 you can give out advantage on 2 saving throws, whether that's Dexterity and Charisma, Constitution and Intelligence, or Wisdom and Strength. Those are kind of tough because it's like Dexterity is gonna save, give an advantage on Dex saves is good against damage dealing spells, but getting an advantage on Wisdom save is good against control spells, and then just getting advantage on Constitution saves is good for spellcasters maintaining concentration. And then there are other options. I think Constitution and Intelligence are probably the best. I mean, Strength saves keeps you from getting grappled or pushed or shoved, or knocked prone. Not sure how often those come up in your games, but the Harvest Domain's got you covered. Next we have our Druids, and our first one is going to be the Circle, Circle of the Old Ways, right? This is going to eventually let you gain extra attack at level 6. But more importantly, when you cast Shillelagh, you also give yourself an armor, so you don't have to wear armor outside of, you can still wear armor, but once you expend your wild shape, you're going to gain armor, gain a shield, and this gets better as you level up. I would say this is probably the best. Your expanded spell list is good too. However, unfortunately, Griffin Saddlebags came in and gave us the Circle of the Dragon, which is gonna let you turn into a dragon. Yes, literally, you're eventually gonna have breath weapon attack. You're gonna be making 3 attacks, and you're gonna be able to fly because you're a dragon. And who doesn't want to play Dungeons and Dragons in a game, or who doesn't want to play a dragon in a game called Dungeons and Dragons? So very fun, very flavorful. My only grip is that you don't get an expanded spell list, but you still get to turn into a dragon who makes 3 attacks and with breath weapon. So yeah, it's really good. I have a level 20 pre-gen Circle of the Dragon made for one shot that I'm going to be running soon, and my next campaign that I'm going to be playing in, I am planning on playing a Circle of the Old Ways because I just had this really cool concept in my head for her character, and the Circle of Old Ways fits that pretty well. Those are my 2 top subclasses for the Druid, and we are going to move on. Okay, so the fighter. For our fighters, we have 3 options here, and it depends what you like. If you like horses, then the Beauregard fighter from the Crooked Moon's your choice. If you like support, then the heroic fighter from Cthulhu is your choice. That fighter is going to give out temporary hit points equal to their charisma modifier plus their number of times per day. So your charisma base, not charisma base, but you want to prioritize at least having probably a +3 to your charisma. because you can just give out temporary hit points 2d6 plus your fighter level, no action required, and then give out, like, it's just a pretty good support fighter. Then, like, way better than the Banneret. But we also have the Living Crucible from Grimhollow, and this fighter is going to give you a slew of options because this fighter enjoys their party favors, whether you can take that how you want. But yeah, so they ingest things and get better from those whatever they ingest, whether that's like, I want to focus on something, so I might need some Adderall, or I don't want to go to sleep tonight. As IRL examples, however, this fighter just has so many options for you from your concoctions that you ingest, and it can get very powerful. So those are our fighter options. Next up, we have our monk, and once again, if you're fighting mages, then the Warrior of the Cosmos is for you. So, like, the best feature that the Monster Slayer Ranger that we got back in Xanathar's or Tasha's, I don't remember when it came out, but was the ability to just shut down teleport. And you didn't get that till like level 11, I believe, or level 15. Well, this monk gets it right at level 3. They also gain, like, detect magic, and their punches can basically counterspell stuff. So Warrior of the Cosmos is my choice. But then we also have the Warrior of the Pestilent Haze from the what's it called? Crooked Moon. This is about poison damage and necrotic damage, or is it just poison damage? Either way, you're gonna eventually be able to get around resistance to the poison and just deal damage, necrotic damage or poison damage, like, all the time, I believe. I'm not sure about the necrotic stuff anymore. I'd have to go watch my own video. I don't want to just sit here, pull out my phone, start looking through, like, DDbeyond to actually read what it says. Truthfully, yes, it's poison or necrotic damage, and you can deal out the poison condition as well. This is a really good monk, and after talking about it now, I could easily have ranked this up to S tier. Okay, Paladins. If you are interested in support, the Oath of Harvest from Heliana's Guide is going to be your guy, or gal, or they or them, or a non-binary person, creature. Then, if you are interested in just dealing damage, any of the options from Grimhollow are going to be your person, and if you're fighting mages, the Oath of the Spelldrinker from Griffin Saddlebags is going to be your choice. The Oath of the Spelldrinker can cancel out spells, no save required, just that spell doesn't happen, and I gain temporary hit points because I canceled out your spell. On top of disadvantage on concentration checks, the guys from Grimhollow are going to be able, and I just mean guys in a plural general sense, are going to be able to just dish out disadvantage on, like, one's going to give out the poison condition, deal extra damage, the other one's going to just give out disadvantage against sanguimancy spells, and the other is just going to be able to crit on a 19 starting at level 3. So all of them have different ways of increasing your damage. And yeah, those are the Paladins. Like I said, any from Grimhollow. Support, it's going to be the Heliana's Guide, and or if you're fighting mages, then it's 100% going to be the Oath of the Spelldrinker. Moving on to our Rangers. If you want to play a support focused Ranger, then the Trail Warden from Cthulhu is your choice, and if you want to just deal damage, then without a doubt the strongest damage dealing ranger is the Primordial Archer from Grimhollow. This is going to just increase your shots for a whole minute, dealing extra damage on top of giving you a smite option as well. And if you don't plan on using ranged weapons, if you want to like 2-weapon fighting, then I would say the Green Reaper from Grimhollow is probably your best choice. However, it is costly. So their whole thing is poison damage, and to get around resistance, they have to expend spell slots to get around, but they are also going to be dealing extra damage, so sort of like a smite. And then to get around immunity, you're going to have to expend even higher level spell slots. Thankfully, you get this at like around the time you gain 3rd level spells. Actually, you get that at level 11, that option, and you'll have 3rd level spells by level 9 and 4th level by 13th. So it can be expensive, but not every creature has like resistance to poison damage. I was looking at some of the dragons for a one shot that I'm planning to run, and I'm like, so this dragon has resistance to these and these. I mean, they all have like resistance to immunity from the poison condition, but for the cost of like a 3rd level spell slot, you'll be able to get around that. So yeah, I would say the green Reaper is your best choice if you want to play a non-range ranger. But if you're going with the ranged, then Primordial Archer is your best bet. And if teamwork is super important to you, then it would have to be the Trail Warden. And from the ranger, we are going to move on to the rogue. If you want to mount, then the Highway Rider from Grim Hollow is your choice, and it can deal extra damage, especially with feats that let you I'm thinking like the Squire Solamnia, which allows you to mount a creature with only 5 feet of movement. Then there's like obviously Mounted Combatant, and I think there's another horse feat brought to us by Grim Hollow. I don't really recall 100% for sure. Either way, the Highway Rider is pretty good at this. Be hard pressed not to mention the Sanguine Thief, because they're basically the Arcane Trickster, just a third-party Arcane Trickster focused around, well, Sanguinancy. However, the Sinner brought to us from the first 2 I mentioned just now were from Grim Hollow. The Sinner from the Crooked Moon is if you like random tables, because you get a random table you can roll 2d6 on to have different effects trigger when you make a sneak attack. And then we have our most flavorful option, which is the Arachnid Stalker, which basically lets you become Spider-Man, and that is from Velda's Spire's player pack. So yeah, you can be Spider-Man. In my opinion, being Spider-Man is probably the best option, but that's just my biased opinion because I love Spider-Man. Other than that, the Highway Rider seems the most interesting, though I'm not really a fan of mounts or just overall. But the Sinner is probably, like I said, if you like those random tables. And that's my options for the Rogue. Yeah, that one got 4 options just because I couldn't not mention magic. Okay, so we have the Hungering Dark for our Sorcerer, and that is from Cthulhu by Torchlight. This is all about darkness, seeing in darkness, letting your allies see in darkness, and shutting down things like Blind Sight, Tremor Sense, and or actually I don't think it shuts down Tremor Sense, but Blind Sight and True Sight. So enemies who have those abilities can't see in your darkness or obscured area. It fixes the issues with magical darkness. Like, it's great to throw it on an enemy, but then your party typically has disadvantage, and it has a slew of spells that allow you to do more darkness effects. If you have a Gloomstalker Ranger and let's say like any Warlock with the invocation Devil's Sight, they're gonna love you. And even if you don't have those, anyone else isn't gonna be hindered by your ability either. The other option is the Apocalypse Sorcerer from Grim Hollow. This is, I said it was probably when I did my Grim Hollow video, I said it was the most powerful sorcerer because this sorcerer has like spell scrolls, and it can put its meta magic into these spell scrolls, which makes it that much more powerful. You can do this a lot throughout the over your course of the career as a sorcerer, because you can make them on a long rest, but they disappear on a long rest, and yeah, it is really good. just being a sorcerer and magic spell scrolls, because once you have the spell scroll, you're like, here, now you can cast that spell to anyone else with my meta magic applied to it. So it's super powerful. And those are my two options for the sorcerer. After our sorcerer, we have our warlocks next. Warlock. Okay, so for the warlocks, we have the Horned King from the Crooked Moon. This is very powerful and debilitating warlock. However, it's going to use your reaction a lot, and you only get one of those per turn, unfortunately. The other option, I would say, is the Parasite from Grimhollow. This is literally going to let you explode on death and come back to life in a new body. It is very cool. However, those are both trounced by the chaotic creature that we call cats, with the exalted assembly of the feline court brought to us by Cthulhu. This literally lets you wild shape into a cat and do all types of chaotic nonsense, and we all know playing a cat is amazing. So the exalted feline, or the exalted court of the feline, however it's pronounced or even read, I just read once right correctly, not going to try to again. Either way, being able to turn into a cat, really fun and awesome. So S tier. play a cat, play a warlock with a cat patron. Okay, for our wizards, we have the wand lore brought to us by Griffin Saddlebags. This is all about wands, making your own wand and making your spells and effects even more powerful. We also have the Bibliomancy brought to us by Cthulhu. This is about spell books and editing your own spells, sort of like how the old playtest for the 2024 wizard lets you edit spells. Well, this subclass lets you do that. And then we also have the Demonologist from Grimhollow. This warlocks gets Eldritch invocations. However, so that just makes them really powerful. However, on D&D Beyond, you can't actually give yourself Eldritch invocations. That's the same issue with the College of the Road Bard from Humblewood and the College of Adventures from Grimhollow, is that you can't actually add Eldritch invocations. The only way you could do that, I would say, is either make your own feat. There's some out there on D&D Beyond already that have been homebrewed that are basically like, hey, you gain an unlimited version or a uncapped version of Eldritch Adept. You can also just give your character Eldritch Adept for free to like have the options available on your character sheet on D&D Beyond. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you can't innately do this on D&D Beyond is a bummer, because most of us play online, or at least a good amount of people play online, and it's my preferred VTT of choice. That's why I'm covering the stuff that's available on there most of the time, or just about all the time, unless I'm talking about Warhammer or other games. However, yeah, the Bibliomancy, the Wand Lore, and the Demonologist are the top options for the Wizard, and those have been all of the options that I would say are the best subclasses of 2025, third-party subclasses for 2025, available on D&D Beyond at the moment that I've covered so far. There are some that I haven't covered, like those from the Humblewood Tales Adventures book, and I believe I covered the subclasses. I know I didn't cover Obajima, but those aren't available to 2024 classes. Same thing with the Book of Ebb and Tides. Those subclasses aren't available to 2024 classes. You'd have to play a 2014 class for them, unfortunately, because the Mother of Sorrows patron is very good warlock patron. Literally, you get around immunity to poison right as soon as you get the subclass. So you get around resistance and immunity to poison right when you gain that subclass, which is extremely powerful. But yeah, those have been all of the subclasses. If you like this video, well, like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the YouTube stuff. My name's been Wes. Where's the fun? Thank you, and bye.